Daniel Woodrum, welcome to the Profit Power Hour, the Art of Extreme Delegation podcast. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, but first, how did you survive this morning? We're in Miami. How did you survive the Starbucks not opening until 6 o'clock in the morning?
I don't understand why Starbucks open at 6 o'clock.
It's Miami, and nothing opens till 8 o'clock in the morning. Because everybody stays out until 4 o'clock in the morning.
True story. I got there at 6 a.m. this morning to Starbucks when they opened up, and I did see somebody come in, and it looks like they had not gone to bed yet.
Yeah.
So they were getting a little pick-me-up before they went to sleep. But yeah, it helps me have gratitude, though, for the Starbucks in my town that opens up at 4 a.m. So
yeah. How did you get through those first couple hours?
Well, I met Coach Galil for a workout at 5 o'clock this morning, and then I powered through that without any coffee, which was not easy to do. And then I got to Starbucks at 6 o'clock, and now I'm on my little caffeine kick. So
wow. All right. Well, that's a big deal. That is a big deal for Daniel, whose Starbucks opens at what time?
4 a.m.
Your Starbucks opens at 4?
4 a.m.
That's crazy.
It is
in
crazy.
Charleston, South Carolina. All right, so that helps him have a Profit Power Hour, which is what we're going to talk about today. And so recently we did that training in the Millionaire mentorship. It was a lot of fun. What does your Profit Power Hour look like in terms of money now and money later activities?
Yeah, so money now activities are things that you can do that are going to start collecting money for your business right now. So that could be lead follow-up. It could be sales calls. It could be sending invoices so you can get paid. So it's anything that can give you immediate cash inside your business.
And that last part is like, some people will be like, well, what do you mean sending invoices? But we have people that make nearly $1 million a year as coaching clients who are backlogged on sending invoices to get paid for work they have already done. And so if that's you, or if you are not collecting the money that is owed to you, don't feel bad about it, because very high performers sometimes get so busy. I don't know how, but sometimes they do get so busy they forget to get paid. So even stuff like that, you can get money right now by taking some actions in your business. So is there anything particular that you do in that money now time?
Yeah, so a lot of mine is just with lead follow-up. So just having conversations, whether that's via email, even like past clients. We have a lot of past coaching clients that are still good fit for our program at this point. And so just continue on those conversations with them and trying to move them forward in the process to rejoin our coaching. And then obviously through DMs as well, through Instagram.
Yeah, and so I got to be honest, I stole this money now, money later concept from my friend Ian Stanley. He's the first guy that talked about it. And so money now is activities you can do to get money right now. And we tell our clients in their Profit Power Hour first thing in the morning when they're in their magic time to do that as the second activity after you do money later activities. So what are money later activities, and what are some of the things that people can be doing in all types of businesses, and what do you do?
Yeah, so money later activities could be working on some marketing funnels, working on some email campaigns that you're going to be launching next month, working on a marketing calendar. And I think it's easy to put these type of tasks off, right? Because it's like, well, it's not urgent, so I'm going to put it off. Well, if you keep putting it off, it's never going to get done, and then it becomes urgent, and that's when people get in trouble with that.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about in the Perfect Week formula. Non-urgent, important activities. It's really, important for me to write a book, but I'm not going to get a book done today, so it can wait till tomorrow. It's really important for me to launch a new funnel. It's really important for me to start a side hustle, but I don't have, I'm not going to get results today, so people put it off until tomorrow because they have urgent and important stuff. So for example, I always use the story about how when we owned the Fit Body Boot Camp in Charleston, once every year the air conditioning seemed to go out, and Charleston in the summertime is not a great place to be without air conditioning. So what is that? How do we categorize that problem?
That is a money later.
Well, no, that's an urgent.
That's an urgent issue. Yes.
That is an urgent, important activity.
Right.
And most people get up and they have some sort of air conditioning broke in their life, some type of fire, or they have bad habits of scrolling and snoozing and going on their phone and checking email and all that type of stuff, and it takes away from their money later activities. So how do you help people guard it? How do you guard it?
Yeah, so the way that you guard it is, one is if you can, obviously you can make sure that, and this is why I like doing these things first thing in the morning, because you're gonna have less people trying to grab your attention away, right? If you're doing these type of Profit Power Hour at 5 a.m., more than likely you're not gonna have clients or colleagues trying to ping you, trying to take your time away. So protecting that time, making sure you don't schedule anything in there. I'm a big fan of the Opal app, which is just eliminating distractions on your phone so you don't scroll through social media, go on the internet. So it's just setting up as many systems as possible and not relying on your willpower, because the willpower will break every single time.
Well, you've got a lot of clients and colleagues living in your house. So you have 3 kids and your wife, and so it's a very busy house. The kids are all under 6 years old?
Yeah, all under 6, yes. Which is why I go to Starbucks.
Right. So walk us through what you do in your morning routine, the systems that you use, and maybe go a little bit deeper into the Opal app. And if you remember, is there one for Android as well?
I don't know if there's one for Android.
I think it might be called One Sec.
Okay.
But there's also one called Forest, which is an app that has a little bit of gamification for it. But anyways, walk us through all the systems that you use in the morning so that you get stuff done, and then we're going to talk about the delegation next.
Yes. So first of all, my morning starts the night before. So every single night before I go to bed, I lay, and this is something so simple, and it makes the biggest difference in the world. I lay out my clothes that I'm going to wear for the next day, put it in the bathroom by my sink. I go ahead and get my water bottle ready that I'm gonna take in the morning to Starbucks so I can still drink water and not all coffee. And then also pack my bag. I have my computer bag ready. I know what I'm gonna be doing in the morning for my Profit Power Hour. And that way I set my alarm for, at this point, it changes over time, 3:43. I am able to get out of my house by 3:55 because I have everything done for me. I literally get up, brush my teeth, put my clothes on, grab my bag. I don't even need to turn the lights on so I can wake up my wife. And I'm out the door, and Starbucks is 3 minutes away from my house, so it's super convenient. And so that's one thing, it's just starting the night before. And because if I don't, there have been times where I have not been compliant, I did not pack my bag ahead of time, I did not pick out my clothes, and it is more excuses, more friction points not to take action. And so even when someone like me who's very disciplined, if I don't prepare the night before, I am going to make excuses and I will not be as efficient the next morning.
And then so how do you set up the Opal app? What does it exactly do for you?
Yes, so the Opal app is you can set certain times on your phone where certain apps are blocked on your phone. So for me, it's social media, it is the internet, and it is YouTube.
All the internets?
Yes, all the internets.
All the
yes,
internets,
yes.
okay.
Now, obviously, I can get on the internet on my phone, of course, right? On my laptop, but on my phone, I don't ever go on social media on my laptop. I don't think I've ever logged into Instagram or Facebook on my laptop. It's always on my phone. So I know that my phone is the biggest distraction. So I have that from 4 to 6 set up, so that way I am not distracted when I'm at Starbucks or when I'm at the gym working out because I go to the gym after Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening time as well, I have it blocked off so I can be present with my family because I've told stories before of me being on my phone when I should have been with my family. That never happened again.
Yeah, so that leads us really well into the art of delegation, extreme delegation that you do. And when we were on the Profit Power Hour, we started with how you calculate your effective hourly worth and why this is so important, first of all, to understand how to simply do it, and then what that means for somebody in terms of delegation so that they can buy back their time and be able to make more money.
Yeah, so I think the hourly worth is an extremely important metric. I mean, we all understand as business owners, entrepreneurs, I need to have sales, I need to know sales metrics, marketing metrics, team performance metrics. But one of the most important metrics that you should be tracking and know very well is your hourly worth. Because even though our annual income is important, if you make $200,000 a year, that's great. But if you're working 60, 70 hours a week and you actually break down your hourly worth, it's really not as much as you think. And so the hourly worth is a really important metric that you should be tracking.
Did you go through in the mentorship a new client named Jody? She's coming here, she's a gym owner. Remember the conversation you had with her?
Yep.
She's coming to the mastermind here, and I mean, it was like, brilliant example because she calculated her hourly worth as like either 35 or 50 bucks an hour, and she was just doing all the wrong tasks. Mm-hmm. And then you just walk through like actually what she wasn't doing, which made her so much money. Yeah,
so the way that you actually track your hourly worth is you're gonna take your annual income, all right, so the last 12 months, the money that you brought home, you're gonna divide that.
Annual personal income, not your business income.
Yes, yeah, very important. And then you're gonna divide that by the average number of hours you work per week multiplied by the weeks that you work in the year. So to give you an example, if you're making $200,000 in a year and you're working 60 hours per week on average, and let's say that you work 50 weeks of the year, so you take 2 weeks of vacation, right? If you do that math, it's $200,000 divided by 3,000.
Yeah.
That's $66 per hour. Now that's all subjective. Some people might think that's really good. Some people might not think that good. But if you
was good before 2020,
right?
Since 2020, it's not good anymore.
And I think I think logically you think if I'm making $200,000 per year, I'd have more than $66 right per hourly worth.
Yeah, and the way that I usually tell people to do it, yours is the most accurate. But most people, if they work 40 hours a week and 50 weeks in a year with 2 weeks vacation, it's 2,000. So you can actually, if you make $20 an hour, you can just multiply it by 2,000 to get your salary.
Yep.
And so it's 40,000, and you can take your salary and divide it by 2,000, basically cut it in half and divide it by 1,000, and you can get your hourly worth. But Daniel's method is dead on. So she was making $100,000 a year, and she, just estimated she's working about 2,000 hours, so she was about $50 an hour, and she just had some big aha moments, like, man, that's not a lot of money, because it is, like, it's the same amount of money, $50 an hour or $100,000 in a year, but when you look at it per hour, it's just much more of a cold bucket of water to the face, and that's why you have to do this exercise, because that's when you can start to figure out, man, something's got to change.
And here's how you actually know what you're doing on a consistent basis. Once you can determine your hourly worth, you're gonna do what we call a time journal or a task journal. It's painful, but do it short-term pain for long-term gain. You're gonna take an entire day and you're gonna write down every single thing that you do in that given day. Taking out the trash, going to the post office, sending 5 customer support emails, whatever it is, you're gonna write every single thing down. Craig and I recommend every 20 to 30 minutes have an alarm go off as a trigger and just write down what you did. Try to be as detailed as possible. You're gonna keep an entire day's worth of your time journal, and then the next step of this process, which we call a delegation highlight system, is you're gonna...
Well, before we get there, let's go back to Jody, because I don't want to forget to do that. So we also found that she had gone 7 out of 8 for sales consults in the last month, but she had no time to do any more because she was doing all of this little busy work. And so we helped her go through what Daniel was about to explain, delegate a lot of the work to other team members, because most of the time you do have team members that are already hired to do these things, but you're doing the work for them because you don't trust them, which is another story. And she was able to get rid of, I don't know, maybe 10 hours per week, which allows, if you're 7 out of 8 on your consults, all you should be doing is consults all day long.
Up to $3,000 she was selling per hour on tickets.
Exactly. So we made her open up space for a minimum of 21 consults in the next month, which should explode the revenue of the business, bring on some new good problems that we'll have to help her through. But this was just like a before and after transformation. Like if it was a visual, it'd be like that person losing 50 pounds in 6 weeks, man. It was so...
And it took 24 hours just for her to track that stuff, right?
Exactly, and to have that mindset shift, because in the Profit Power Hour program, we did a 7-day challenge, and those were a couple of things she had to do at the start. And then one of the activities, after you've done the time journal and your Money Now and Money Later activities, is to figure out the highlight delegation system that you're about to teach.
So after you go through the time journal and you track everything that you did, you're just gonna put an hourly worth beside every task that you wrote down. And it's like, I'm not sure, go to Google, go to Upwork. It's not, it doesn't have to be exact, but just put a value on it. So for example, if you're sending customer service emails, you could probably find somebody to pay $25 per hour to do those. If you're doing graphic design, $50 per hour. Just put an hourly worth beside each task. And then here's where it gets really powerful. You're gonna do what we call the highlight delegation system process. So any tasks that are double your current hourly worth. So let's say back to our original example, if it was $66 per hour, anything that's at least say $120 per hour, you're gonna highlight those tasks in green. Those are a great use of your time right now. You're gonna highlight yellow any tasks that are matched with your current hourly rate. So if it's, say $65 per hour hourly task, highlight that yellow because that matches what your current hourly worth is.
And maybe if it's like 75.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be exact, but within the $10 to $15 range. And then you're gonna highlight red anything that is under your current hourly worth, right? So if you're, $25 per hour, that should be highlighted red. After you do this process, we want to start delegating or automating or even eliminating certain tasks that are highlighted in red because those are not the best use of your time. They might be important to get done, but they should not be done by you. And then we want to double down on the tasks that are highlighted in green because those should be ideally moved into your Profit Power Hour because those are a great use of your time.
So elimination and stopping doing certain things, really, really important. Hopefully we got some people's attention with that. You also get people's attention when you said you're fired from doing this. What does it mean when someone should fire themselves? Why should they fire themselves? And what does that allow them to do in their business?
Yeah, I think most of the time it's common for us to say, well, how else can I hire myself inside my own business? What else can I do? What else can I take on? You should actually ask yourself the exact opposite. Where should I fire myself from the business? What got you here won't get you there. It's one of my favorite quotes I learned from Craig. And so there's a couple of different...
And I got that from a guy named Marshall Goldsmith.
We all steal from each other.
It's not my quote. He's got a book of the same name, for sure.
And so there's a couple different ways that you can approach this. One is when you're going through this delegation system, all the tasks that are highlighted in red, how can I fire myself from doing those tasks, right? And like Craig said earlier, you probably already have somebody on your team that could take on those tasks. You just have not leveraged them yet. And we'll talk about delegation here in a little bit. Another thing is maybe there is something that is important in your business. It was good use of your time, but now it's not. So I'll give you a personal example. Back when Craig and I owned the gyms in 2017, for the first couple of years of our gyms, I had done all the workout programming. Very important part of our business. It drives results. It helps with new signups and retention. But because we opened up multiple locations and I was taking on more responsibilities, more leadership role, I realized at the time that is not the best use of my time anymore. Still very important, but I need to delegate that. I need to fire myself from that area of the business, allow somebody else to take that on. That way I can focus more on sales, marketing, and leadership. So we ended up having someone on your team named Tasha who actually ended up taking it over and did an even better job than I did. And I had to drop my ego and say, hey, even though I'm really good at this workout programming, it is not a good use of my time. And once I was able to, that freed up about 5 hours per week that I could then focus on marketing and sales.
And that's very important when it comes to firing yourself, because if you look at the things that you do in your business, like let's say you're updating your website, and let's say that you're doing your sales calls, and let's say you're doing your emails, are you actually any good at it? You know, in most cases, like if you were hired in somebody else's business to update websites, how soon would you be fired? Probably same day. Like you probably wouldn't even get the job in the first place because you're not good at it. And that's why you should be fired from a lot of things in your business. You're not good at those things. You would not actually be paid by anybody else to do it. So why in your own business, the most important business of it all, of all the businesses in the world, you're paying somebody, yourself, to do a crappy job. And that's why your wheels are spinning and you're stuck, because you won't fire the worst employee that you have, which is you. So that is what you need to do. And so when somebody fires themselves, and in a lot of cases, you know, maybe the people are listening, like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. How do they replace themselves?
Yeah, so when you replace yourself, this is what I call the pilot and co-pilot delegation system. And I will give you an example back to when I had Tasha take on the workout programming for a gym business. Here's how it works. The reason I like the pilot co-pilot is because if you think about a flight, right, a plane, you've got the pilots who's steering the flight, and you have the co-pilot that is there to make sure that everything's okay, everything's going well, following the checklist. And so what you want to do is you want to, on the pilot co-pilot delegation system, is when I was delegating to Tasha the workout programming, for the first 2 weeks, I was the one doing the workout programming. I was the pilot. I was driving the ship, if you will. And then Tasha was the co-pilot. So she was observing me, asking questions. I was sharing with her why I was doing certain things, certain ways. We did that for 2 weeks. She was able to observe, learn the ropes. And then after 2 weeks, we just reversed the roles. She became the pilot. I became the co-pilot. So she was the one doing the workout programming. I was there to provide feedback, provide support, answer any question that she might have had. And then after we did that for a couple weeks, when we both felt comfortable with her being the solo pilot, I removed myself from the cockpit, if you will, and then I was just on the back end there holding her accountable, providing feedback on an ongoing basis. But it was a good way because it built trust with both of us. I trusted her, she trusted that she could get the job done. And that's the best way that I found to do a delegation process.
Yeah, and one of the ways that I've done this in my business is when I first started the coaching business, I was doing all the sales calls, and then I brought on somebody to do the sales calls. And what we did is we not only did we role play it, he actually sat in on a sales call. And he just watched everything. And then eventually we built him up where he did the sales call and I sat on the sales call and was just there, and I might have interjected once or twice. And that was one way we just trained up our sales team a little bit faster at the start. So there's all types of ways that you can do that. If you are a technician of something, like you're a personal trainer, you brought on your first trainer in your gym, listen, they can just shadow you. You know, it's apprenticeship essentially.
Yeah. And that builds trust with the clients as well. Because like, okay, well, if Craig trusts this new trainer, I can trust them, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So Daniel, we've talked about the Opal app, we've talked about firing yourself, we've talked about getting your hourly worth. Is there anything else that's super important in having the most profitable power hour in the morning?
It goes back to planning the night before. Take 5 or 10 minutes, do your brain dump as we talk about in the day, like write out everything that you didn't get done that's on your mind, de-stress, get that out of your head, and then just figure out, okay, what are my 2 to 3 money now tasks I'm gonna do tomorrow? What are my 2 to 3 money later tasks I'm gonna do tomorrow? Write those things out. I love what Craig always taught of, like, put a couple of bullet points under those. Go ahead and create the outline. That way when you wake up the next morning, you open up your computer, you get out your journal, whatever it is, you've got a very clear path, and it's just almost like filling in the blank, taking action. You eliminate any excuses or any thought process that needs to go into it.
Yeah. Listen, this was just a brief download of everything that we went through in our Profit Power Hour training. If you want access to that full training, just drop the word Power Hour down below, and we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to access that and upgrade to our Millionaire Mentorship Program. So Daniel, that was super awesome.
Thanks, Craig.
Always love getting the gist of it to be more effective, more productive, because dang, I thought I was a productive person, but you are up-leveling me on many ways. So thanks everybody. This is Early to Rise Radio, Craig Ballantyne, and we'll see you on the next episode.